Okay, we are live now. Good afternoon. I'm Deborah Jones, your Blue Table Talk host, and I am so glad to be back on air because I missed you guys from last week. I wasn't on last week. I took a bye week last week, so I'm back in progress, and I'm back at it. So let's do what we need to do and get ourselves together so that we can help somebody. Out there. So tonight we're going to talk about the coronavirus. You know, my topic has always been for us to talk about coronavirus and the people who they have infected. So tonight we have some people who was affected by coronavirus, and so they're going to talk about it. But before we talk about it, I need to do some housekeeping and to tell you about where you can get your testing. If you haven't been tested yet to see whether or not you had it, you can go to Beaumont Urgent Care, which is 3650 North Major Drive, Suite 8. And the number is 409 333 1272. And they're taking like 75 patients per day. But if you go early in the morning, I think they open like 7 o'clock. If you go early in the morning, then you can like go right on in. But if you wait, then you're gonna have to make an appointment. So they're taking like 75 patients per day. And it is rapid, it's 15 minutes. So you can go there. That's urgent care on North Major Drive. You can also go to MD Kids Pediatrics, which is 490 I-10 North Frontage Road, Suite 100. Their number is 409-212-9988. And you go there to be tested. You don't have to make an appointment, but you can just go up and they'll ask you to go back to your car and they'll bring you some papers, and then they'll call you to go around the building to get tested. Also, you can go to Christmas Pronto over on Dowling Avenue, on Dowling Road. You could go there and be tested also. All these are rapid testing. So either where you go, now let me tell you, some people who do a rapid test will charge you $125. So you just be careful about what's going on, where you're going, and try to get to those who would probably take your insurance or whatever, or wherever, or just do it for you for free, whatever. So just be careful about where you go to get your rapid testing at. So with that being said, I have some guests on tonight. Hello, we're gonna introduce ourselves. We're gonna tell you who we are, and all of these are coronavirus warriors. They have conquered coronavirus. They're here, and we were talking just now, and I was listening to them. They are awesome, guys. You just need to listen to them. Don't forget to share, push that share button so people out there can see who's who and who's coming on, and they need to ask questions. If you want to ask questions, go ahead and ask questions, because that's what we're here for tonight. Okay, so tonight we're gonna start with Adriana. Go ahead, tell a little bit about you.
Good evening. My name is Adriana Fowler. I am 36 years old. I'm from Port Arthur, Texas. I am a elementary school teacher, and I contracted the coronavirus. I tested positive on November 8th, so about 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. And then my mother also contracted the virus as well. She spent 4 weeks in this hospital in Houston, and then on December 4th, she succumbed to the COVID-19 on December 4th.
Brandon?
Good evening. My name is Brandon Hubbard. I am 39 years old. I'm the superintendent of schools in Chilton ISD in Central Texas. I contracted COVID, or I tested positive on December 26th. My wife, one of my sons, my sister, and a cousin, we all contracted. Thankfully, we are still here. My wife has an underlying condition, so her road to recovery is still ongoing. But we are thankful that we are still here.
Right. Terry?
Hi, I'm Terry Lewis. I am 52 years old. I'm a third grade teacher here in Beaumont, and I was diagnosed with COVID on November 24th. So that was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. And then later, maybe a couple days later, My husband tested positive for COVID-19. Thankfully, we both survived it, and we're here. I'm here to tell my story.
Kathy.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Wingate. I'm 59 years old. I work for Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. My husband and myself tested positive for COVID on November the 27th, the Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
Right. Well, it looked like during the holidays, that's when everybody was, tested positive for COVID.
Mhm.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you, before you were infected, what precautions did you take?
I masked up everywhere that I went. Sanitizer, I keep it on my purse, in my car. Every day we're wiping down counters, spraying microban and Lysol. It's like liquid gold trying to find those products now. But we would do, all of that. We would limit where we would go. I mean, if we went somewhere, it was to work. We started doing grocery pickup. We wouldn't even go into the grocery store unless necessary. So we were, we thought we were taking all of the proper precautions to keep ourselves safe.
Wow. Yeah.
I did the same thing. We masked up and get off work. Before I get in my car, I keep a can of Lysol. So I spray my clothes, I spray under my shoes. We never come in the house with our shoes. We leave them out in the garage and we spray everything down. And if we did go out in public, because we have gone to a restaurant, I keep purse-sized Lysol. I spray whatever table down, the booth, we spray everything down, but still got it.
And it's
so
similar. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm a little different. Even though I masked up, I limited my trips to the grocery store. I didn't really go visit anyone. We hardly ever had company. I wasn't that into let me spray down, let me take off my shoes. We wiped down sporadically, and I think that I got it from school, and then I carried it. I brought it home.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my story is similar. Definitely, we wear a mask everywhere we go. We've limited the places we go. My wife and I are both educators, so she's a middle school math teacher, so she's in contact with kids, or and potentially could have gotten it from school. But we took all the necessary precautions that we thought we should take: hand sanitizer, spraying down things, and that sort of thing. But all it takes is that one time, and you could have it.
Right. Well, did you have any symptoms? And you didn't know that you were infected, or what? What happened?
I knew that I was infected. It was the day after Christmas. Woke up in the middle of the night, chills, fever, just felt horrible. And so I got up. It was about 4 a.m. I got up and found the nearest urgent care and got myself tested, because I was almost 100% certain that was the case. So headache, lost taste, lost smell, body aches, just that sort of thing. We did definitely have symptoms, and we knew it pretty quickly, because we felt fine, and then immediately I felt horrible.
Right. Wow.
So I wasn't sure if I had it, because I started on the Tuesday, 2 days before Thanksgiving, with the burning sensation in the nostrils.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody kept saying, "Oh, is that time of year? It's your sinus. You have allergies." I said, "Yes, but I've never had a burning."
Mm-hmm.
Went on, kept going about my business. But that Friday morning, the day after Thanksgiving, I made coffee and I couldn't taste or smell it. After about the third sip, I realized I can't taste it or smell it. And that's when I went to Beaumont ER on college and tested positive, and then had my husband to go and get tested, and he tested positive as well. But he didn't have any symptoms at all. For about 5 minutes that night, he had a shortness of breath, but I had no taste, no smell, and excruciating body pain.
Wow.
My mom prompted me to go get tested. We had went to Houston to visit my father, who was in the hospital, and my mom started feeling bad. She had had some respiratory problems before, so she just thought it was her, bronchitis or acting up. And so she asked me to. When I went to see my dad, she didn't go because she didn't want him to say anything about her coughing or anything. And she asked me to bring her to the emergency room, and she made a joke. She said, "Well, if they have to keep me," I said. She said she wanted to go to Memorial Hermann. And I say, well, Mom, why don't you go to Methodist? Dad's already there. So if I got to come visit y'all, I can just go to one place. So we laughed it off. And I took her, and they, because of her symptoms,
Right.
they wouldn't let me stay with her. They took her to the back. And when she got back to her phone, she called and told me that she had tested positive and that I needed to go get tested. So I went to an urgent care in Houston. And before I went got tested, I was drinking a grape crush soda, and I couldn't taste or smell it. And so I just thought, oh, it's my sinuses acting up. I have really bad allergies. I take allergy shots. And so I went to the urgent care and got tested and found out that I was positive. So I lost my sense of taste and smell. And there's still some things, honestly, that I can't taste and smell till this day.
Me too.
Wow. Really?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, it's citrus smells. I use the citrus microban, and I spray my classroom with it. And I can't even. If the kids are like, "Oh, it smells so good," and I'm like, "I used to could smell it," but very pungent or very strong smells, I still can't smell or even taste.
So have you tested to see whether everything was okay again?
Yes, ma'am. When I went after my 2-week quarantine, I went to get retested, and so the place that I went to, there was a nurse practitioner there, and he told me that I needed to get a complete physical, and that I needed to follow up with my family doctor. Because one thing that he noticed is that my heart was beating very fast, and so he told me that I would need to follow up with my family doctor or maybe a cardiologist, because that's one of the side effects that they know that people deal with from having COVID.
Wow. Terry, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes. As for me, everything happened that Saturday before Thanksgiving. I just started having a lot of drainage, and being a sinus allergy sufferer, I just felt like, okay, well, I'm clearing my throat, I'm coughing a little bit, that it's probably just sinuses allergies. And I remember that night having uncontrollable shakes. I had chills. I was freezing. And I've never shivered like that before. So the next day, a few more symptoms came, headache, um, different things. And a friend of mine, she said, why don't you? She said, it sounds like you have COVID. I was like, no, there's no way, because I don't have, I can still smell. So she was like, well, take your temperature. And I had a fever. So that was surprising. And then, so Monday came and my body hurt. It was excruciating. Nothing ever felt like it was sitting on my chest, but my back, I just didn't even want to walk to the kitchen. So I thought, well, I didn't take the flu shot this year. This must be what the flu feels like. I've never had the flu. So I was able to get an appointment with my doctor the next day. And more symptoms came. I'm still in total denial. There's no way I have COVID, just no way. And so when the nurse came in, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the flu, and they did a flu test and a COVID test. And the doctor came in and she showed me that little piece of paper that I tested positive. And I was totally shocked, because all along I didn't think I had COVID. I just did not want to believe that was going to be my diagnosis.
Right.
But then instantly, probably after a couple of minutes, I accepted it. And, I started taking my vitamins like she told me to. And, the zinc, the vitamin C, the vitamin D. And I was just in bed, and a friend of mine told me, she said, you have got to get up. And
Right. Exactly.
I heard there's okay, let me walk to the kitchen. And everything was painful. So I walked to the kitchen and went back and laid down. I was fatigued. I was hurting. And I felt like, okay, that was a lap to the kitchen per se. And I thought that was a big deal. But so I tried to do it 2 or 3 times a day. And that was a major task for me. It was major.
Now I'm listening to you guys, and I hear that each and every one of you guys said that somebody else in your family had the virus along also. So who had it first? Did you have it first, and did you feel bad that they got it, or did they have it and you were like, wow, I don't want it, and you try to be careful, but then again it came on you? How did it happen? Who had it first?
So for me, I had it first. And so I told my husband, why don't you go get tested tomorrow? And he had tested negative. And so, but by 7 p.m. that night, he started feeling bad.
Wow.
He had tested negative probably about 8 or 9 that morning, and it hit him like that. And so, I felt horrible because my husband has been diagnosed with cancer. And I felt like,
Yes.
okay, this is totally my fault. And I could hear the suffering that he was going through. He coughed, and I was just so scared. I didn't want him to go to the emergency room because I didn't want him to get sicker. So I just prayed a lot. I probably prayed more for him than for myself because of his underlying conditions. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wait a minute, before somebody else speak, let me speak to the audience. I need you guys to share, because more people need to be listening to this podcast about coronavirus. So please share. Thank you. Go ahead, next person.
I'm not certain whether my wife or myself. I'm not sure who had it first. She felt bad, and didn't think much about it. But when I started feeling bad as well, we both tested on the same day and were both diagnosed on the same day. So not really sure. I'm was more concerned for her. Thankfully, I have no underlying conditions, but she has a pretty serious underlying condition, and so pretty scared and nervous for her. But we made it through. She's hasn't returned to work yet, but she is still recovering. So just that idea of praying that I didn't give it to her by being careless at some point. But we really don't know who had it first.
Right. But you said you had night sweats though, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow. So you at that point you knew something was going on.
When I woke up and got up to go get tested, I was almost 100% sure that I had COVID, just because it's rare that I get sick with anything, but I was almost 100% sure that was what I had.
Wow. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm not sure who gave it to who in my case. When I was home quarantining for those 2 weeks, you have a lot of time to think. And so I was just like, God, I pray that it wasn't me that gave it to her. And, I'm at home okay, and she's fighting for her life. But even before my mom passed away, when we were able to talk, my father had been sick in the hospital, and we both think that's probably where we contracted it from, because after, a couple of days after that, like I said, my mom had respiratory issues. She had hypertension, so she had some underlying health conditions, and she started feeling bad first. And so I'm not sure who gave it to who, but I know that we both tested positive for it at the same time.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I gave it to my husband. I had it first, and I gave it to him, which I felt bad about that because he's retired, so he really didn't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
but he's good. We're good now. Still have, a little short-winded, but other than that, I'm good.
And you said your condition was worse than his.
Yes, he didn't really have anything. I had no taste, no smell. Some short-winded, but excruciating body pain. That was the worst part, was the body aches. It started from my hips and went down into my thighs, the back of my thighs. And I ended up having to go back to ER on that Sunday. I tested positive that Friday. He took me to the ER on that Sunday. And I had to get some relief. I couldn't stand, I couldn't sit, I couldn't lay.
Wow.
And all we did was pray.
Wow. Do any of you guys have school-age children? And if you do, did they go to school when they found out you had it, or did they contract it? And if they did, and if not, how did you keep them away from you? Because Brandon, you said both you and your wife had it.
Right. I do have my grown son, who's in Beaumont and attends Lamar. He had it. He tested positive. I have a daughter who's a graduate of Prairie View. She was with us and never tested positive. And my 9-year-old son, who was definitely exposed to his mom and me, never exhibited a symptom, never tested positive. I'm almost certain that at some point, my 9-year-old son, he had to have had it. There's no way that he could have gotten around it, because he's always under me, and finishing my drinks, eating my food, and so there's no way. And I could think the day before he was doing just that. So there's no way that he wasn't exposed, but never exhibited a symptom. I think he had a runny nose for 2 days, took a Benadryl, and he was good to go. And so he stayed out. Of course, we were on Christmas break when we were diagnosed. And so by the time school started back, he and I were clear. My wife was cleared as well initially, but she's just having some after effects that's slowing her down just a little bit.
Well, was he tested?
Who is that?
The 9-year-old, was he tested?
No, he was never tested. Never tested.
No.
Wait, no, he was never tested.
Okay.
My older children were.
Right.
We assumed that my 9-year-old had it, never exhibited a symptom. The doctor, if I recall correctly, the doctor said, don't worry about testing him. Just assume he has it. But he never, ever, ever slowed down. For several of those days, I think he raised himself because we were out of commission.
I know that's right. I don't have any younger kids, but my youngest, who's 26, DeAndre, he was home from Houston for Thanksgiving. And that morning, when I said I was going to ER to get tested, of course, he went on his computer and signed me up to go my ER. And when I came back and tested positive, then I had him to do my husband. And then when he came back and tested positive, I told him, I said, well, son, you need to get out of here and go home. And we got into it. I'm not going anywhere. I said, you're going to be positive. He said, I'm fine, but I'm not leaving y'all in here. I mean, we literally had to put him out the house because he wouldn't leave, but he never tested positive. He went.
Yep. Scariest moment of my life. So worried. Andre. Your son.
Yes, Lord.
Now, I have 2 middle schoolers, and as soon as I left the doctor, like it was said, my daughter, she's always up under me, like literally always. And there's no way my children stayed negative. But I called the pediatrician, and they said that if they're not showing any symptoms, if everything's fine, no fever, don't worry about bringing them. Let's just assume that they have it. They're asymptomatic, and
Mhm.
yeah, they never they never slowed down. Never slowed down.
That you
I don't have any children. I just have two older nephews. But another unique thing about my situation is that I have an older brother. He's married, and my sister-in-law, her mom, her dad, her sister, and her nephew all had COVID the same time as I did, but we never interacted. So I don't know where they caught it from. But just if I were my brother, I know that would be scary for me, knowing my mom and my sister are in Port Arthur dealing with it. My wife, her parents, her sister are dealing with it in Katy. And so my nephews would call every day. You're okay. You need us to come drop you something on the porch. You can't come in the house. So, but yeah, I don't have any children. So it was just me, and I have a Chihuahua named Hercules. So it was just me and Hercules.
So were any of you guys, and I know, Adriana, my condolences to you about for your mom, but were any of you guys hospitalized? No?
No.
No, ma'am.
Yeah. That's something. I just get right on in there, huh? Did you realize that God was holding you in the palm of his hand, and were you frustrated that you mad at him because you got COVID? And that's something to think about. Did God just let me go?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I knew he didn't let me go. Now, my husband did get a little frustrated because he said, looking at me in so much pain. But we prayed and prayed. And once I went back to ER that Sunday, and they did a x-ray of my lungs and my chest, and the doctor said I would be fine. He said, you're just going to have to go through it, but you're going to be fine because your lungs are cleared. You shouldn't have anything to worry about. So that was another sign of relief. God had already told us I was going to be okay. But then when the doctor did that x-ray and he said everything was clear, he said, you're just going to have to go through it. I was fine.
Yeah. We were very fortunate and blessed. We felt bad initially about 3 or 4 days, but day 4 or 5, you could definitely see that there were some things that were improving. Now the frustrating part was when I started to feel better. I stay in the country, and so. I went outside and I was going to walk to the end of my street and then walk back to the house. So I got out and I took off to the end of the street, and I got to the stop sign and realized that I probably shouldn't have walked that far. I was wondering how I was going to make it back. So that part was a little frustrating. Didn't know if I was going to have to call somebody to come pick me up, but just the point of gaining your strength and endurance and that sort of thing, it took a little longer than any sickness, flu or anything that I've had. And so I guess that part was the most frustrating. It just took some time to get back to normal.
For me, it was a complete life lesson. Like I said, I'm 36 years old. Everybody that knows me knows that, my mom and dad take very good care of me, and I've, been well taken care of. And so for the first time in my life of 36 years, I had to truly, solely, completely depend on God. I didn't have mom here to talk to, or, are you okay? I had family that would call, but I didn't have dad, and my dad got really ill over the summer. And so even through that, we lost our home and everything in Harvey. And I was worried, but I knew when mama and daddy ate, when they laid their head, I was going to lay my head. So I never really had to worry about my necessities or my basic needs being met, because I would always have them. So during this time, and even now, I've learned that, that's one thing that I had to do is, they say give it to God, and I had to give, my situation to God. Like Mr. Hubbard said, I live in the city, but I kind of live, in a kind of a country area, I guess you could say. And I made the mistake and walked to the corner, and I literally sat down on the curb and was like, Lord, if you just let me get back in this house, you'll never hear this prayer again. I promise you won't. And I came back, and so I would go sit outside on the patio for a little bit just to get some sun. And, because they said, don't just lay there, move around. And so I would, try to do little things. But I totally agree. And then the frustrating part for me was that I was getting better, but my mom wasn't. So I was worried about me, but I was also worried about her and her condition. And so, I just had to truly, like I said, it was just me and my Chihuahua in here for 2 weeks, just the two of us. And so it was a lot of life lessons. And I didn't think God had let me go. I just felt like God was bringing me through a test to have a testimony.
Right.
And so I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to still be here.
Right. I know that you guys are helping somebody out there. Okay, I'm sorry, Terry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm probably more frustrated now than I was when I had COVID. But when I had COVID, I was more thankful that when my husband started getting sick, it was probably like day 3 or 4 for me. And I didn't notice that I started feeling better until like day 6. And so day 6 was like his day 2 or 3. And so I was glad that I was able to be there for him and help him, be with the kids because I had built up a little strength. I had the same feeling, like my son didn't come home like when he was supposed to. So I go halfway down the block and I realize my breathing is off and all I'm doing is walking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walk back, but my frustration now is, these lingering symptoms. I didn't know even back in December that COVID left me with some back problems. And so I was cleaning up my cabinets early January and I was in pain. It was that lower back that just was relentless during COVID, like from left to right, just my lower back, it was killing me, but I was determined to do my cabinets. So anyway, never had any back problems, but by the time I finished, by the time that night, I had taken 4 ibuprofen, 2 at a time, 2, then I waited 4 hours, and I was on a heating pad. So that bothers me. It bothers me that when I go to work and I'm walking from my car to my classroom, I'm pulling my cart, I'm out of breath. And so I'm usually a pretty active person. I kind of walk with a fast pace. These symptoms don't bother me all the time. Last week I was walking slow for like 3 days straight. And so I think I'm more frustrated now because I'm still not myself. I'm still getting like the muscle aches. Like I can feel it right now. And it lasts about 10 or 15 seconds where it just stops me. It's like working out and your muscles are burning. That's how it feels in my upper legs. And so that burning, that shortness of breath, and my lower back mostly. Those symptoms still remain.
So do you ever think about doing leg exercises?
I can't even imagine doing leg exercises.
But it would help. Now you know me, Terry. You know I'm an exercise freak.
And so you are. Yes, you are.
And you know that I know that those leg exercise. I haven't had COVID, so I don't know how you feel. But I know that those leg exercises are going to help you. I know that if you do something to have that back, get that back in shape, it's going to help because you're going to have to exercise because you don't want to be crippled. You know what I mean? Right. So you're gonna have to do some type of exercise. But
you're exactly right. I just have to push myself through it, and I think the fear. I've never had a fear of exercising, but I think I'm gonna let myself down by, okay, I really can't do this. Like there's no way I could even try to jog. But yeah, I just need to push myself through it.
You don't have to jog. You don't have to jog.
Right,
Just
right.
big exercise. You don't have
Yeah.
to jog. But I'm listening to you guys, and Kathy could tell you this because vouch on this one. I can't remember. It was last year sometime. Could have been Thanksgiving holidays. I don't remember, but I was suffering so bad with my legs, and everybody know me. I love to exercise, but from my hip on down, my legs, they were hurting so bad. I had to literally crawl to the emergency room.
Wow.
I took myself, and all they told me was arthritis.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, arthritis. Well, I'd be glad those boogers go away. I don't need arthur, and I don't need arthritis. But they have to go. But they gave me Tylenol 3, and then I went to blow the joint. They gave me some steroids, and after that, it just went away. So I don't know if I had COVID or not. All I know is I was in pain. And never, like I said, I exercise. So it was just my legs. It was just, I had to crawl. But to listen to you guys, you guys, like I said earlier, you guys are so warriors. I have empathy for you guys because what you have gone through and have accomplished now. So,
Deborah.
Yes.
And I tell anybody, don't lay on your back. You must lay on your stomach.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yes. Because that's how pneumonia sets in the lungs.
Okay.
So people say, well, I lay back in a recliner. You're still on your back.
Right.
You have to lay on your stomach.
Well, it's whatever way I lay go.
You get COVID, I bet you'll get on that stomach.
Let me go to my people, my audience. Let's see what they're saying. Dolores Clark says, altogether, we have had about 25 plus members in our family that had contracted the virus. Praise God, all recovered.
Amen. That is a testimony. Amen.
That's true. So let me piggyback on that. Dolores is my sister. My aunt and her children left from Opelousas to go to Houston to her daughter for the storm. And when they arrived in Houston, one of the daughters that went with her to Houston decided to cook a gumbo for the family. And all her children and grandchildren came over, and it was about 14 of them or 16 of them tested positive.
Wow.
And my aunt is 96, and she's fine. She didn't have no problem, no nothing.
She tested positive also?
Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am. Her and all her children and some of her grandchildren. One of her daughters were hospitalized in Houston. The other one refused to go, but she needed to be there, but she toughed it out.
Good. Your mother says your mother tested negative.
Yes. When I tested positive, I was actually at my mother's house. We had just celebrated Christmas, and so I was sick, and we packed up, and I was worried that because we had been there for several days that she would eventually test positive. But thankfully, she has not tested positive. She has tested negative and hasn't had any symptoms. So that's a great thing.
You know what? As a matter of fact, Brandon, I don't know if you knew this, but your mom came to my house Christmas Day, picked something up, and then the next day she called and told me that you had tested positive. And so I was laying in the bed. And I said, "Oh, okay. Don't worry. That's okay. Don't worry about it." And so soon we hung that phone, I jumped out that bed. I got jumped out that bed. Oh Lord, first I gotta go find the test. But you just because you tested positive, everybody listen. You just don't run to the emergency room or whatever to take a test because they're gonna tell you it's too early. Early. And she, as a matter of fact, she came in my garage, and I mean, just for a split second, and got what she needed and went on out. So I told him that. He said, "No, ma'am, you good. You good." I even spoke with Kathy. Kathy, girl, you good, but that didn't sit with me. So I waited my time and got tested. And so they really know me by my name when I walk in there now. So they say, "Jeffrey, you've been exposed by somebody." I said, "Yes, I have." And so they said, "You're all right. Take your time. You're good. You're negative." I said, "Oh, okay. That was okay then." But you got from Missouri, you got to show me. But everything was good. Yeah, your mom, we spoke, and she said that she was negative, and I'm like, okay. Charlotte Wilson said, "Did any one of you guys take the antibody therapy after you tested positive?"
I donated blood and plasma. They told me that I did have the antibodies. And so I don't, as far as taking any after therapy, I did not, but I did offer that so that maybe it can help someone else to be a survivor as well.
Anybody else?
I did not.
I did not.
My wife had the opportunity to take that therapy, and I mean, she noticed that she felt better. Her case is a little different, but she noticed that she did feel better. So, no, I've never taken it.
Yeah,
I've never taken it.
Mm-hmm.
Anna Johnson says, Johnson Cooper said, "I had horrible back pain about 2 weeks after having COVID, so symptoms definitely remain."
Mm-hmm.
So that means they have the symptoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was actually the first symptom that I had was back pain. A couple of days before I tested positive, or a few days before I tested positive, I had exercise. I did about 2 miles. And when I came in the house, I noticed that my back was hurting, and I thought, well, maybe I pushed it a little too hard. And then I drove to Beaumont, and after we got there, it was continued to hurt, and to the point where I was trying to take something for it. And so I did notice that, and that was probably one of the worst symptoms that I had was the pain in my back. So that definitely lasts.
All right. So Verdi McDaniel says when she told me, I'm sure she's speaking of Rosa Hubbard, when she told me, I started spraying and washing everything down. And that's what we do. Because we get scared and we get nervous. So that's what we do. Get the lights all out, or we get our whatever we have out, and we if you come to my house, on my door is spray your feet before you spray your shoes before you walk into my house. Management. So somebody said, "Do I have to spray my shoes?" Yeah, you got to spray them. You can't just walk on my floor. But it's so scary. It's just a scary thing, and nobody wants to get it. But contract it somehow. Terry, I was listening to you. You said you got yours from work.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. But I'm, of course, nobody knows. But somebody. Well, there are people who are embarrassed. Okay, I have it. I'm gonna be shunned. I started calling people like immediately. I started calling, my third grade team members. One was out of town. I was like, "Look, I'm so sorry to bring you this bad news, but I'm positive." And I'd always said, when I find out, I'm gonna tell it, because people have been close to me, close enough.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like, there was nobody around me who contracted it from me, just my husband and possibly my kids. But I told it. I needed to get the word out.
Wow. Yeah. So how long were you guys quarantined? The whole 14 days? Or what?
Yes, ma'am. I was quarantined 14 days. I tested positive on a Sunday, and I went the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and that's when I tested negative. But I did not go anywhere. My car did not. I mean, if I went somewhere, it was from my sofa to my bedroom, back to the sofa. You know, I had my lineup of shows I was watching every day. And like Miss Terry, I immediately called family just to let them know. You know, they would call and check on me and things like that. But I stayed in because I didn't want to give it to someone else, and they
Right.
maybe didn't have the same. You know, they had more symptoms or it
Right.
was lingering. And so like I said, I take it pretty seriously, even when I go in stores and things like that. And, you know, people, they don't put on masks. Cause I said, it's not necessarily that you can get it. I said, but you may give it to someone else who can't recover from it. And so
Right.
you can't only just think, it's like when you drive, you don't just drive for yourself, you drive for everyone around you
Right.
on the highway. And so, but I don't mind I'm like Miss Terry, I told my coworkers, my principal was playing golf. And I called him and I was like, I'm sorry to bother you. I know it's a Sunday afternoon, but it's, as you know, there are certain protocols, and I'm sure Mr. Hubbard knows that you have to follow when someone, you know, a faculty member or a student tests positive. And so I immediately let everyone know. That way, you know, if I was around anybody or just to, you know, just so they can know, you know, hey, you know, please check on me. Like I said, I was here by myself, so I didn't mind. Hey, you okay? You need anything? So, but I'm not ashamed because God chose me to be a survivor, and so I don't mind telling my story in hopes that it would help somebody else.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. You know, as Clark says, whenever they give free testing, I go. I have tested 5 times. Praise God, each time it has been negative. It's not that I have been around anyone that tested positive, but you never know how or when you will become in contact. And so it's just get tested for peace of mind. Yeah. And I'm telling you, everybody know all you guys say is Corona, and I'm going to get tested. So that it's just a mind thing, really. That thing says, "Great job." Most people don't care if they are spreading it, and she's right. A lot of people probably even know they have it. They know they have it, and they go out and spread it around. You know, so you know, we just have to be careful. Okay, so the vaccine is out. The vaccine is out. So what are you gonna do? Will you take it, or have you already taken it?
Well, I plan on taking it, but I'm not sure when because I was told the vaccine has shellfish in it, and I'm allergic to shellfish.
Oh wow.
So I was told by one physician that he thinks, and I can't go by think, that the Moderna doesn't have it, but the Pfizer does. I can't chance that.
Right.
Wow. I didn't know that. That was something new to me. I found out maybe at the beginning of the summer I got allergy tested, and I have a severe allergy to eggs. I wouldn't know that it would bother me, you know, as I got older, but I didn't really pay it much attention. But so, and I know like with the flu vaccine, I didn't get it this year because they say if you have an allergy to eggs, you know, just be cautious or be aware. And so that's good to know. I wouldn't think that they would put something like that in a vaccine for COVID, but I do plan on taking it. My father, who's sick, he's in a skilled rehab right now in Houston. He got his first shot last week. And so he got it, and they've been monitoring him. He's doing okay. But I do plan on getting it once I answer those questions. Oh, no, especially, you know, about I'm glad that she said that. That's something that I would need to ask, definitely. Like, what is in it that, you know, someone may be allergic to?
Yeah, I definitely plan on getting it as soon as I'm able to. No question about it.
But you do know we have to wait 90 days after we tested negative.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
A lot
Yes,
of
ma'am.
people didn't realize that because I know some people I know, they had the COVID and they didn't wait 90 days and they've been sick from that first shot.
Wow.
I didn't know
Yes.
that.
And they didn't know that they had to wait. Well, I called my physician in Houston and he the one told me because I talked to Beaumont, I'm gonna hate to say it, and they told me, oh, you can take it, you'll be fine. He said 90 days after the day you tested negative.
Wow.
That's good to know.
Well, I took my first shot my first vaccine shot. My first vaccine last month. So I did the Moderna, and so I took my second, which is a booster shot. The second is a booster, and just like we did when we were little children, had that booster shot. I take that one on next Tuesday. So hopefully everything goes well, and that I still have to be careful 2 weeks later after you take the vaccine. So you just can't just go out and not wear your mask. You still have to do the 3W, wear your mask, wash your hands, stay away from people for the distance. So you still have to do the 3Ws. But and I can do that. Because if you get on top of me, I'm gonna tell you to move. I got a problem telling you to move. Get off of me.
Hey, Deborah, let me add something that I know we're talking about COVID, but I know they were telling us to take the zinc, the what's the other one? Elderberry.
Elderberry.
I don't know how everybody take their zinc. I normally take it later in the day. Well, the other day I forgot I hadn't taken it a couple of days. So that morning, going out the door, I said, you know what? Let me just hurry up and take the zinc. Took my zinc and my vitamin D3 with water, walked out the door going to work, and I just was drinking my coffee on the way. Please don't ever do that. When I tell you by the time I got to my desk at work, they had to call the paramedics. My whole body was just shaking, uncontrollable. And I was, of course, vomiting. But according to my doctor, when I called them, because of course they sent me home, and I called my doctor in Houston, he said, and that's what they said, zinc and caffeine, it'll do it every time. I didn't know it. It doesn't say it on the bottle. The bottle doesn't say it has to be taken with food, but I had been taking it with food. But it's just because I knew I hadn't taken it in a couple of days, and I'm like, oh, let me hurry and take the zinc. And I had a bad reaction. Then I talked to another lady that works out at our jail, and she said, Kathy, same thing happened to her a while back. And she didn't know. She did the same thing. Took that zinc on empty stomach. She said, shaking like crazy and throwing up like crazy.
So what did they give you a shot for that?
No, it had to take its course. No, give me a shot.
Take its course? Wow.
After a few hours, I was okay. But it took a while. Trust me, a long while.
Wow. Margaret Sims said, did you guys who have back pain have any other symptoms? She says, I suffered from back pain for a week, but thought I probably had pulled something and do have arthritis in various parts of my body. So did y'all have any other symptoms besides when you had the back pain?
I did. Back pain was just the first symptom that I experienced, but yes, I did have other symptoms.
Yeah, I had just about all of the symptoms except for maybe one or two. And so, I didn't have the nausea, vomiting, but the congestion, the cough, the loss of taste, smell, headache, body aches, fatigue, chills and fever, I had it all. And I had no idea that I would have the back problems that I have today.
Wow. One lady said she took the zinc in her back with Coke, and her heart was. Yeah, Coke. Yeah. That's caffeine.
That's real caffeine. That's what happened. That's it. Can't do it.
Margaret says she's been taking elderberry 2 to 3 times a day, but after eating. I guess for different strokes for different folks, right?
You have to take it after eating. I take mine with food too, but like I said, I just forgot that day.
So what would you tell the people? What would you tell the listening audience? Give them something. Every one of you guys. What would you tell them about COVID and about having it, and that you guys are warriors and that y'all work through it? What would you leave them with?
I would just say that a lot of times with the news and the media, we get so wrapped up in those who haven't survived, but those who have survived, the number is so much greater.
Yeah.
So, focus on that. Remember to keep God first. I personally, my life story, The doctor told my parents on 3 different occasions before I was 18 to prepare for my funeral. So I had been through things that were far more worse than this. I'm a survivor of meningitis. I've had 10 sinus and head surgeries. So I've been through so many things. And I in my heart, I knew that, God wouldn't let something like this, take me out. And so just to always just be cautious. And it's not just about you, it's about others. I'm a younger person, and I was always thinking about when my dad, if my dad could come home, or my mom. They're both, my mom was 69 when she passed. My dad will be 70 in a couple of weeks. God spares his life. And so they have underlying health conditions, and I didn't want to give it to them. And then, when I got over it and they couldn't, he continued to sanitize, continue to mask up, and just fully rely and trust and believe in God, and just know, for those who have survived, tell your story. Let other people know that you have had it and that you can get through it, and let them know their race may not be similar, or to yours. Their race may be totally different, but just know that, thank God everyone here got to the finish line. And there's a saying that says the race is not given to the swift or the strong, but it's to the one that endures. Just endure. You may have pain, you may have aches, you're gonna have your tough days, and even those who have lingering effects, just endure, and just know that God allowed this to happen to you for a reason and a purpose. And I just thank God every day that He left me here to continue to live out my purpose.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anybody else?
Just, a lot of time you hear people being diagnosed and they, there's this sense of shame or guilt that, that comes over them immediately. And, like I've told someone before, no one asked for it. You didn't ask for it. I didn't ask for it. And we did everything that we could to prevent it. But, this is where we are. So, it's not, something to be shameful about or to feel guilty about, but, share your story, let people know what you're going through. And since you are a survivor, let people know that you made it through.
Right. Awesome. Terry, Kathy?
Right.
Yeah. Even though I've been talking about these lingering symptoms, there are people who would love to be in my shoes. I mean, this is like, my pain comes and goes. This discomfort. I think about long suffering, and why not me? I just have to accept what has happened, and I just continue to pray. I don't believe that I'm going to carry this title as a long hauler. I think about the people who come home, on oxygen, or with the caretaker. It could be so much worse. So I am, just trying to be transparent and talk about how I feel. But I'm very fortunate, and I just want you to be encouraged and just pray and believe and just keep moving and just keep being safe. Protect yourself.
Yeah. Kathy, you have anything?
I just feel that God used us for a reason. He allowed it to happen to us so we can go out and help someone else.
Right.
That's all we can do is help each other. Go out and let people know what happened. Give them some encouraging words, or tell them what to do and what not to do. Just like we're telling what to take, different things that we learned going through it and what the doctors told us, and it could help them.
Right.
And just thank God. It could have been worse.
Right.
Amen.
Yes. And it's been good. This lady Charlotte says this podcast has been very informative. Thank you. Thank you all for an excellent forum. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Before we go off, I would like to congratulate Adriana Fowler for being appointed to the Board of Trustees in the Commissioner Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to say on that one?
I just thank God. My mother served for over 35 years at Spindletop, and she was very passionate about helping others in general, whether they be, children. She had a heart for children. Even after she retired, she was working at Royal Ambassador Academy at the Antioch, and she had 3 lovely young boys. that she was so attached to, and she just had a heart for helping those, whether they could be an advocate for themselves or not. And so I'm honored that Commissioner Senegal appointed me to that position for Jefferson County. So I just ask God every day to help me make the best decisions for those who can't always make decisions for themselves. And so I'm blessed and so grateful and honored.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, guys, you've heard from Kathy Wingate. She's worked for the Sheriff Department. And you heard from Adriana Fowler. She's an educator in Port Arthur.
Yes, ma'am.
From Tiffany Lewis, she's also an educator here in Beaumont, Texas. And we heard from Reverend Brandon Hubbard, who is a superintendent in Chilton.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Chilton, Texas. So we have, it doesn't matter where you are or who you are. If it's gonna hit you, it's gonna hit you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
But we all know that God is good.
Yes, he is.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
And do for all generations. So we already know that. Now, I didn't come here to preach. Brandon's job. I will let you know that if I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. God bless you guys. God keep
Yes, ma'am.
you. And you always know my ending words is smooches. So let them go, guys. And then y'all stay on.
Okay.